Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss the latest academic polling in Northern Ireland by Queen's University in Belfast, which indicates that a majority of Northern Ireland now see the protocol as a good thing. I'd also like to discuss how the situation is about to get extremely messy. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So the result itself is pretty hilarious, not necessarily in the way you may imagine, but I'm going to discuss the last poll first. Now, according to a report in the Belfast Telegraph back in June, the same university survey found that 43% of the population were in favour of the protocol. Now, at the time, people will have been seeing a daily diet in the media about the damage it was causing. Unionists in Northern Ireland complained about barriers existing between Britain and Northern Ireland that did not exist between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. If you're a unionist, this would sound politically bad, naturally. Even if you weren't a unionist, it still sounds bad that a barrier that didn't used to exist now suddenly does. And with everyone linking this barrier with the Northern Ireland Protocol, you could well see how the protocol was viewed as bad by a majority of people. But since June, what has happened? Britain has been hit with food shortages that Northern Ireland has not suffered. Britain was hit with a CO2 shortage that Northern Ireland was not hit with. Britain started having punch-ups at empty petrol stations. No such repetition in Northern Ireland. Britain is worrying about what their Christmas shopping list might look like. Northern Ireland is just getting on with it. And in amongst all this, Northern Irish trade has grown as a result of being able to export really easily to both the EU and Britain. So although there are still businesses in Northern Ireland suffering from Brexit while the supply lines reorganise themselves, the overall picture is one of genuine Brexit benefits. So unsurprisingly, support for the protocol in Northern Ireland has been increasing. But get this, the figure for support now quoted is 52%. Well, according to the law of the Brexit gammons, that is an overwhelming will of the people figure, isn't it? I'm assuming that Boris Johnson and David Frost will now conclude that the people of Northern Ireland wish the protocol to be fully implemented. Nigel Farage and Kate Hoey can just shut up, and rather than threatening to suspend the protocol, they should all now redouble their efforts into making sure that the rest of the protocol is implemented. I'd already mentioned that the DUP leader, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, raised the subject of the protocol in Parliament at Prime Minister's questions. He urged the Prime Minister to agree that the conditions had been met to trigger Article 16. Johnson agreed, without qualification, that they had. Now, I've already discussed a few times how Article 16 isn't actually what these people claim it is. Never mind that now. They must presumably withdraw their comments in light of this holiest of holy numbers in support. I'm not sure I should hold my breath, however. But on a more serious note, I do wonder if both Johnson and Donaldson are watching each other to see who makes the first move. Like, Donaldson has threatened to collapse Stormont unless the Irish sea border was dismantled. Now, okay, granted he's a little bit vague on exactly what he wants doing with it, but he certainly wants something to happen that he is not satisfied has happened. The thing is that he threatened to collapse Stormont before November. If his demands are not met, it's like, he made this threat last month and he said before November. That's a deadline. Now, the thing is, there's not very much left of before November, is there? There's like tomorrow. That's it. There's no more working days left of it at all. So was it a bluff, or is he just waiting to see if Boris Johnson will suspend the protocol instead? Obviously, Donaldson doesn't want to collapse Stormont if he can avoid it. Elections in a few months as it is, and such a move will not go down well in the middle of a COVID emergency, I would imagine. In fact, this article in the Belfast Telegraph reports that Donaldson even threatened early elections as a result. Now, the view at the moment is that unionist parties are very likely to lose their majority in Stormont after the next elections. I don't know how certain that is, and that'll be interesting. But also that the DUP may lose ground as the largest unionist party as well. Now, if this threat is not mere bluff, maybe Donaldson just thinks that he can limit the electoral damage for his party by having elections sooner rather than later. Maybe he could use the Irish sea border issue as a pretext for getting early elections, if he thinks that would benefit him. Still, with this were the case, why hasn't he then? He said before November, now is only just before November. This is the latest you can do it, and it still be before November. Wouldn't that mean he'd be doing it now? Donaldson said that if the government fails to act, then he will do. But at what point will he have judged the government to have failed to act? You know, they've been making their own threats and missing their own vague deadlines as well. From Johnson's point of view, he has threatened to suspend the protocol, leading to a trade war with the EU. Obviously, he can't win such a trade war from an economic point of view. The question is, can he politically? Can't rule it out. Still tricky. And it will mean truly dreadful economic figures in the wake of it. He may think he can win politically, and he's just waiting for the best moment. I'm not sure that the run-up to Christmas is the best moment. So if Johnson is unlikely to act before January, where does that leave Donaldson? Johnson doesn't actually care about the protocol one way or the other, unlike Donaldson. Is the Prime Minister just waiting for Donaldson to act to give him a bit of a distraction for a while longer as well? Are they both looking at each other to see who will jump first? Because Frost, who is Johnson's unelected Brexit minister, has made similar threats. He has been threatening to suspend the protocol since early summer. This was months ago. He keeps talking about expectations that the EU makes rapid progress. Was it I think it was July when he said the conditions have now been met to suspend the protocol. If the EU don't act within a few weeks, that's what we're going to do. A few weeks go by, another few weeks go by, months go by. And these months have rolled merrily on with yet more bluster of there only being a matter of weeks, not months, before they need to act. But when you look at the DUP and the Conservatives both making threats that they will do something terrible if someone else doesn't do a thing, then they set short-term deadlines that keep passing and then just reissue the same threat with another short-term deadline. You can draw only one of two conclusions. One, the first is that they're just full of hot air and are bluffing. Ignore them and they'll eventually go away. The second possibility is that they're not bluffing, they are serious, but they want to wait for the optimal time. Now, the latter was always on the cards with Johnson suspending the Northern Ireland Protocol. I'd said a few times that if he is determined that he has to do it in order to maintain support within his party, then it will just be a case of when is the best time to do it. Now, I'd wondered if early next year, when trade naturally drops off a bit, might be one such time. Surely insane to do so in the run-up to Christmas. But with the action from France that I talked about yesterday, and will inevitably talk about throughout next week, we might have that timing. The British press and government will be full of France breaking international law and the Brexit Treaty. It will be pushed as justification for taking our own action. Both the government and media will ignore the fact that France's action was provoked by the UK government breaking international law and the Brexit Treaty. It could provide him with the cover he needs to suspend parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol that he doesn't like, should he want to. And if the EU is split on France's action, because bear in mind this will hamper some of their trade, it will also therefore make more difficult a coordinated EU response against such moves. This could get very, very messy very, very quickly, and Johnson will enjoy the advantage in being the head of a government that can act unilaterally without having to get any sort of coalition of agreement over an organisation that does have to get a coalition of agreement of many countries, all with their own interests, trying to press those interests in the chaos of a trade war on two fronts. At the same time as having to deal with COVID, China, Russia, the US, the climate emergency, and two of their own stroppy members, none of which are concerns for Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson has one concern, keeping his key to Downing Street. At the moment, only Brexit is on his mind as far as that's concerned. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.